My name is Amelia Wright. I am 26 years old. I remember that cold October afternoon in Milwaukee, like it was yesterday, the kind of day where the wind off Lake Michigan cuts right through your coat, and the gray sky feels like it's pressing down on you. I was behind the counter at the small cafe where I worked as a shift supervisor, wiping down the espresso machine after the lunch rush, when my phone buzzed with a text from my mom. Come over after work. Family matter. Now. No hello, no please, just that sharp demand that always made my stomach twist. I knew better than to ignore it. She'd just keep calling until I showed up. So after my shift, I drove over to their house in the Bayview neighborhood, the one I'd grown up in, but never really felt welcome in anymore. When I walked in, the living room was already tense. My mom, Nancy Wright, was sitting on the couch with that pinched look on her face, the one she reserved for when I disappointed her, which was most of the time. My dad, Joseph Wright, was in his armchair staring at the floor like he always did during these family discussions. And there was my older sister, Jennifer Scott, perched next to my mom, her husband, Mark Scott, hovering nearby with a smug grin. Jennifer had that perfect life. My mom always bragged about the nice house in the suburbs, the stable job as an accountant, the doting husband. Me, I was the afterthought, the one who never quite measured up. Amelia, sit down, my mom said right away, her voice laced with that familiar contempt, like even saying my name was a chore. We've been waiting, and you're late as usual. Do you even care about this family, or are you too busy playing pretend at that little coffee shop? Her words hit like a slap, belittling my job before I could even say hello. Jennifer smirked and Mark chuckled under his breath, but my mom wasn't done. Look at you still scraping by at 26, no real career, no husband, nothing to show for yourself. Jennifer here has built something real, but you're just an embarrassment dragging us all down. I felt my face heat up, that old shame bubbling inside me, but I sat down anyway, biting my tongue like I'd done 1,000 times before. The family matter turned out to be another one of my mom's schemes. Jennifer and Mark were expecting their first child, big news apparently, and they needed money for some fancy nursery renovation or whatever. But instead of asking nicely, my mom launched right in. You're going to help your sister out, she declared like it was already decided. Jennifer's carrying our grandchild, and you owe it to the family after all the headaches you've caused. Sell that rusty car of yours or take out a loan, whatever it takes. Don't be selfish like always. I tried to explain that I could barely afford my rent on my cafe salary, that I'd been saving every penny just to stay afloat, but she cut me off. Excuses, Amelia. Always excuses. If you were more like Jennifer, you wouldn't be in this mess. She's the daughter I can be proud of. You're just disappointing. Dad muttered something about it being fair, but he didn't push back. He never did when my mom was on a roll. By the time I left, I was shaking, tears stinging my eyes as I drove back to my tiny apartment in Walker's Point. How had it come to this? My mom had always favored Jennifer, the golden child, who got the praise, the extra help with college, the family vacations I was too young for. And now, at 26, I was still her punching bag, the one she blamed for everything while propping up my sister. Have you ever felt like that with your own mom, like no matter what you do, you're never enough? Tell me in the comments if you've been there. I'd love to know I'm not alone. Let me take you back to where it all really started, because that afternoon wasn't the first time my mom made me feel like I didn't belong in my own family. Growing up in Milwaukee, our house was always divided. Jennifer was 5 years older, the smart one, the pretty one, the one my mom doted on endlessly. Jennifer's going to be a success? My mom would say at every family gathering, beaming as she listed off my sister's achievements: straight A's, prom queen scholarships. Me, I was the accident, the younger daughter who came along when they weren't planning, and my mom never let me forget it. Amelia, why can't you be more like your sister? She'd snap whenever I brought home a B on a report card or forgot to do a chore perfectly. One memory stands out from when I was about 12. It was a snowy winter day, and we'd just come back from Jennifer's high school graduation party. My mom had thrown this big bash for her, inviting all the relatives, buying a fancy cake with Jennifer's name in gold icing. I was excited because I'd made a little card for my sister, drawing it myself with markers. But when I handed it to Jennifer, my mom snatched it away before she could even open it. "Amelia, this is Jennifer's day." She hissed, her eyes narrowing in that way that made me shrink. "Don't ruin it with your childish scribbles. Go play outside or something. Nobody wants you underfoot." I remember standing there, the card crumpled in her hand, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. Dad just shrugged and said, "Listen to your mother," before turning back to the TV. Jennifer laughed it off with her friends, but it stung. That was the pattern: my mom always putting me down first, making sure I knew I was second best. As I got older, the favoritism only got worse. By high school, Jennifer was off at college on a partial scholarship that my parents helped pay for while I was told to figure it out on my own. "We invested in Jennifer because she has potential," my mom said bluntly one night over dinner when I asked about help with tuition. "You, you're not college material, Amelia. Get a job, learn a trade, something practical." Her words were like knives, always starting the attack, always making it clear she saw me as less. I ended up skipping college altogether, working part-time jobs through my teens: waitress at a diner, cashier at a bookstore, anything to save up. But even then, my mom would call me lazy if I didn't send money home to help with family expenses, which mysteriously always seemed to go toward Jennifer's needs. When I was 19, things hit rock bottom. I'd been living at home, saving up for my own place, but the economy was rough, jobs were scarce, and Milwaukee's winters made everything feel heavier. One evening, I came home from a double shift to find my mom waiting in the kitchen, arms crossed, that disgusted look on her face. "Amelia, this isn't working," she started, her voice dripping with disdain. "You're a burden here, eating our food, using our electricity, while Jennifer's out there making us proud. Pack your things, you need to go." I was stunned. I'd been contributing, paying rent even, but she waved it off. "It's not enough. You're holding us back just like always. Jennifer and Mark are talking marriage, and we need the space for real family." Dad nodded weakly from the doorway, but it was my mom's decision, her words that cut deepest. I begged for more time, explained I was close to affording an apartment, but she wouldn't hear it. "Stop whining," she snapped. "If you were responsible like your sister, you'd have your life together by now. Get out by morning." Jennifer was there too, smirking from the stairs, and Mark added his 2 cents about how I was immature. That night, I packed a single duffel bag with my clothes and a few keepsakes, my heart breaking as I realized my own mother saw me as disposable. She handed me $200 at the door the next day, not out of kindness, but to get rid of me faster. "Don't come crawling back," she said coldly. "Figure it out on your own for once." I ended up crashing on a friend's couch for a week before finding a cheap studio apartment in a rundown building near the Third Ward. It was tiny, with peeling paint and a leaky faucet, but it was mine. To make ends meet, I got a job as a barista at a local cafe, working my way up to shift supervisor over the years. The pay wasn't great, about $30,000 a year, but it covered rent and bills, and I took pride in it. Still, the rejection from my mom lingered, a constant ache. She'd call occasionally, but only to demand money or favors, always starting with some jab about how I was failing compared to Jennifer. "Your sister's buying a house," she'd say. "What are you doing with your life?" It wore me down, made me question my worth. Then, about 7 years ago, when I was 19 and freshly on my own, everything changed on one rainy October night. Milwaukee was getting hit with a storm, the kind where the rain sheets down and the streets flood. I was closing up the cafe late, around midnight, exhausted from a long shift, when I noticed 3 kids huddled under the awning of an abandoned storefront across the street. They looked soaked, shivering, in thin jackets, no older than 12 or 13. Something tugged at me. Maybe it was the memory of feeling abandoned myself, so I crossed over with a few leftover sandwiches from the day. "You kids okay?" I asked, trying not to scare them. The girl looked up first, her dark eyes wary but desperate. "We're fine," she muttered, but her voice trembled. The two boys beside her stayed silent, clutching each other. "When's the last time you ate?" I pressed gently. She hesitated. "Yesterday, maybe." My heart sank. I brought them inside the cafe, technically against rules. But no one was around and made them hot chocolate while they devoured the sandwiches. Slowly, they opened up. "I'm Ella Green," the girl said. "These are my brothers Alexander and Daniel. We're triplets." Their parents had died in a car accident 6 months earlier. No other family and foster care was threatening to split them up. They'd run away rather than be separated. I looked at them scared alone, just like I'd felt, and thought of my empty apartment, my empty life. My mom had thrown me out because I wasn't real family, but here were 3 kids who needed someone. "You're coming home with me tonight," I said, surprising even myself. Ella's eyes widened. "What? Just for tonight?" Daniel whispered fear in his voice, but I shook my head. "For as long as you need." That night, they crashed on my pull-out couch, wrapped in every blanket I had. For the first time since leaving home, I didn't feel so alone. The next morning, I laid out ground rules school. I'd help enroll them, homework, pitching in with chores, and no giving up on each other. Ella nodded, tears in her eyes. "Deal." Over the next 5 years, we became a family in that cramped studio. I worked extra shifts to afford clothes, books, even a second-hand laptop for their studies. We squeezed in mattresses on the floor, ate simple meals like pasta and grilled cheese, but we laughed together. I taught Ella math tricks for her tests, helped Alexander with his dream of becoming a doctor, and encouraged Daniel's tinkering with gadgets from thrift stores. One evening, Ella slipped and called me "sis," but I told her I liked Aunt Amelia better. It stuck, making us feel like chosen kin. By the time they turned 18, they'd graduated high school with honors. "Go chase your dreams," I told them, hugging them tight as they packed for college scholarships they'd earned. "But remember, you always have a home here." They left with promises to stay in touch, and I cried alone that night, my apartment feeling too quiet. For the next few years, we texted and called, but life pulled them away. Ella starting a tech company, Alexander in med school, Daniel in engineering. I kept grinding at the cafe, proud but lonely, wondering if I'd ever see them again. Fast forward to that October afternoon when my mom humiliated me at the house. I'd driven home in tears, questioning why I still let her treat me like that. But as I pulled up to my apartment building, I heard engines, smooth, expensive ones, pulling into the parking lot. 3 luxury cars, a sleek black SUV, a white electric model with fancy doors, and a deep blue luxury crossover that screamed money. The neighbors stared as 3 young adults stepped out, mid-20s, in sharp suits that looked tailor-made. They walked straight toward me, and my heart stopped when I recognized them. Ella locked eyes with me, tears welling up. "Aunt Amelia," she said, her voice breaking. The world tilted. It was them, Ella, Alexander, Daniel, all grown up, successful here. Alexander and Daniel flanked her, looking strong and confident. "We're back," Alexander said, his voice steady but emotional. I reached out, touching Ella's arm to make sure it was real, then pulled them all into a hug, sobbing. "I thought I'd lost you forever," I whispered. "We're sorry it took so long," Ella said. "We wanted to build something first to really help you, like you helped us." And standing there just a few feet away was my sister Jennifer, who'd followed me home uninvited, probably to push more about the money. Her face went pale as she realized what was happening, her earlier smirk gone. Jennifer had pulled up behind me in her shiny sedan, no doubt thinking she could corner me alone and guilt me into handing over cash for her nursery fund. But now, with Ella, Alexander, and Daniel standing there, she froze halfway out of her car, her mouth hanging open. "What? Who are these people?" she stammered, but before I could answer, my phone rang, my mom's number flashing on the screen. I ignored it, focusing on the triplets, but Jennifer snatched her own phone and answered hers, probably the same call. "Mom, you won't believe this." She hissed into the receiver, her eyes darting between us. Ella stepped forward, her posture protective. "We're Amelia's family," she said firmly, looking Jennifer up and down with clear disdain. "The ones she chose when her blood turned their backs." Alexander and Daniel nodded, forming a subtle wall beside me. Jennifer's face twisted in confusion and jealousy, but she didn't back down. "This is ridiculous. Amelia, explain yourself. Who are these strangers pulling up in fancy cars? Are you scamming someone now?" Her words echoed my mom's earlier barbs, but before I could respond, my mom arrived, screeching to a stop in her old minivan, jumping out with fury in her eyes. "Amelia, what is this nonsense?" my mom demanded, marching straight up to me and ignoring the triplets at first. Her voice was sharp, starting the attack as always. "Jennifer called and said you're causing a scene outside your dump of an apartment. And who are these people? You bring randoms here to embarrass us further." She glared at Ella, then at the luxury vehicles blocking the lot. "If this is some scheme to avoid helping your sister, it's pathetic. Jennifer needs that money you owe her after all the times we've bailed you out." I hadn't been bailed out once, but facts never mattered to her. The neighbors were peeking out windows, now drawn by the commotion. I finally found my voice. "Mom, these are Ella, Alexander, and Daniel, the kids I took in years ago. They've come back." My mom's eyes narrowed, that deep contempt flashing as she processed it. "Those street kids you wasted your time on, the ones I told you to forget about because you couldn't even take care of yourself?" She laughed bitterly, turning to Jennifer. "See, this is why she's a disappointment, always playing hero instead of being useful to her real family." Daniel stepped in. "She saved us, raised us, loved us when no one else would." But my mom waved him off. "Stay out of this, boy. Amelia, get rid of them and come inside with us. We're not done talking about that loan." The confrontation spilled into my apartment as my mom pushed past me, Jennifer and Mark trailing behind like they owned the place. Ella, Alexander, and Daniel followed, refusing to leave me alone with them. Inside, my mom wasted no time escalating. "Look at this mess," she sneered, gesturing at my modest living room with its thrift store couch and mismatched lamps. "No wonder you're broke. You spend on junk instead of helping Jennifer. She's building a legacy, a real family, while you're this." Her words were laced with that old hatred, the resentment she'd harbored since I was born, like I was the flaw in her perfect picture. Alexander cleared his throat. "Actually, we're here because Amelia deserves better. We've succeeded because of her." Ella explained quickly she'd founded a tech startup now worth $40 million. Alexander was a rising cardiac surgeon at a top hospital, and Daniel designed aerospace tech for major contractors. My mom's face shifted from scorn to calculation. "Well, if that's true, then you can help too," she said, turning on them with a fake smile. "Amelia's family needs support. Jennifer's baby is coming, and we expect contributions." Jennifer nodded eagerly. "Yeah, if you're so grateful, prove it. Amelia's been useless, but maybe you can make up for it." I felt sick seeing my mom's greed take over, but she wasn't done. "Amelia, tell them. This is what family does, sacrifices for the ones who matter." I shook my head. "No, Mom. They've come for me, not to fund your demands." Her eyes flashed with anger. "Ungrateful as always. After everything I've done raising you, putting up with your failures. Jennifer's the one who's made me proud. You're just a leech." The triplets exchanged looks, and Ella put a hand on my shoulder. "We're taking Amelia out for dinner. You can leave." My mom exploded. "You think you can waltz in and steal my daughter? She's mine to fix. Get out before I call the cops on you frauds." But as they ushered me toward the door, my mom grabbed my arm hard enough to bruise. "This isn't over, Amelia. You'll regret crossing me." That night, over dinner at a quiet restaurant downtown, the triplets filled me in on their lives, the scholarships, the hard work, the successes they'd built from the foundation I'd given them. "We never forgot you." Aunt Amelia, Daniel said. You were our mom when we had none. We laughed and cried, but my phone kept buzzing texts from my mom. How dare you humiliate us? Jennifer's devastated. Come home now or else. I silenced it, feeling a spark of strength from the triplets' support. But the next morning, the whispers started at work. A regular customer, Mrs. Patel from the neighborhood, avoided eye contact when ordering her latte. Everything okay? I asked. She hesitated. Just be careful, dear. By afternoon, fewer people came in, and my boss pulled me aside. Amelia, there's talk online about you. Rumors. My stomach dropped. I checked my phone, Facebook, local Milwaukee groups, and there it was. My mom had posted on her profile and in community pages. I need to warn everyone about my daughter Amelia Wright. She's manipulated these 3 young people into thinking she saved them just to exploit their success now. I've known her whole life. She's always been a con artist, lazy and selfish. If you see her with these kids, tell them the truth. She's using them for money. Stay away. She's dangerous. The post had hundreds of likes, comments like, "That's awful. I always thought she was off." Even tags to local news. Jennifer had piled on in the comments. As her sister, I can confirm Amelia's always been jealous of my success. Now she's scamming these poor people. Mark shared it too, adding, "We've tried to help her, but she's beyond saving." Customers I'd known for years now looked at me sideways, whispering. One woman yanked her kid away when I handed over a coffee. "You should be ashamed." A man muttered, "Tricking orphans like that." I felt invisible again, worthless, the isolation crushing me like it had when my mom kicked me out. Why I'd never asked the triplets for a dime. Why twist it like this? That evening alone in my apartment, I scrolled through more posts my mom had emailed local media, pitching a story, "Mother exposes daughter's scam on successful orphans." My reputation was crumbling. Even at the cafe, tips dried up, shifts felt hostile. I called Ella in tears. "Have you seen what my mom's doing?" "Yes," she said, her voice steel. "We're on it, Aunt Amelia. Don't worry, we have a plan." But what if? Trust us. We've got evidence and we're not letting her destroy you. A few days later, the triplets showed up at my apartment with laptops and folders. "We're organizing a community event," Alexander explained. "Press, neighbors, everyone who's seen those lies. We'll tell the real story." My mom had escalated further by then calling my boss, claiming I was unstable, nearly costing me my job. "You don't have to do this," I said. "She's my problem." Ella shook her head. "She made it ours when she attacked you. You raised us, now we fight for you." They showed me snippets, old texts from my mom dismissing my pleas for help after she kicked me out, bank records proving I'd never taken money from them, even emails where my mom tried selling the scam story for cash. But what if she fights dirtier? I whispered, scared of her next move. Ella smiled faintly. "We have something big, proof she'll regret. The event's in a week. Just hold on." As they left, I felt a glimmer of hope, but that night my mom banged on my door, furious. "Open up, Amelia. I know those frauds are helping you twist this. You'll pay for embarrassing me." The pounding on the door echoed through my apartment like a drumbeat of dread. I froze on the couch, heart racing as my mom's voice pierced the wood. "Amelia," I said, "open this door. Don't make me cause a scene. Your neighbors already think you're trash after what I posted." I glanced at the clock, past 10 at night. She'd driven all the way here just to harass me. Taking a deep breath, I cracked the door chain still latched. There she was, face flushed with rage, Jennifer lurking behind her in the hallway shadows. "What do you want, Mom?" I asked, my voice steadier than I felt. She shoved at the door, but the chain held. "What do I want?" "For you to stop this charade with those kids. Jennifer told me they're planning some event. Are you that desperate to make me look bad? After all I've sacrificed for you." Sacrificed. The word twisted in my gut. She'd never sacrificed a thing for me. Only taken. Mom, just go home. This isn't helping. But she leaned in, her eyes narrowing with that deep-seated contempt she'd always had for me, like I was a mistake she couldn't erase. You're the one who started this, Amelia. Parading around with strays like they're family while your real sister needs you. Sell whatever you have to help Jennifer, or I'll make sure everyone knows what a user you are. Jennifer chimed in from behind. Yeah, Mom's right. Those posts are just the beginning. We can ruin your little job, your life. I slammed the door shut, locking it as her fists hammered again. You'll regret this, she yelled, her voice muffled but venomous. Eventually, the banging stopped, and I heard their footsteps fade. I slid down the wall, knees to my chest, shaking. Her hatred wasn't new, it had simmered since childhood, bubbling over in moments like this. Why did she despise me so much? Because I didn't fit her mold, didn't worship Jennifer like she did. That night's sleep evaded me, but the triplets' promise kept me going. 1 week, and maybe this nightmare would end. The days leading up to the event were hell. My mom's smear campaign intensified. She commented on every local forum, even showed up at the cafe, once loudly telling customers, "Don't trust her, she's a manipulator." My boss put me on probation, saying the drama was bad for business. Tips vanished. Coworkers whispered. I lost weight from stress, my hands trembling as I poured coffees. One afternoon, a regular I'd served for years pulled me aside. Amelia, I saw the posts. Is it true? I shook my head, fighting tears. No, it's all lies. But doubt lingered in his eyes. At home, voicemails piled up from my mom. Give up those kids or I'll disown you completely. Jennifer texted threats about legal action for defamation. Even Dad called once, mumbling, "Just apologize to your mother, she knows best." Finally, the event arrived, October 21st, at a community center in Bayview. I paced backstage, palms sweaty, as over 200 people filled the seats, neighbors, cafe patrons, reporters with cameras. The triplets had pulled strings. Ella's tech connections got media buzz. Alexander's hospital ties brought credibility. Daniel's engineering network handled tech setup. Ready, Aunt Amelia? Ella asked, squeezing my hand. I nodded, though terror gripped me. We stepped onto the stage, the room hushing. I spotted my mom in the third row, arms crossed, Jennifer and Mark beside her, faces thunderous. My mom locked eyes with me, mouthing, "Stop this now." But I looked away. Ella took the mic first, poised in her sleek suit. Thank you for coming. I'm Ella Green with my brothers Alexander and Daniel. We're here to set the record straight about Amelia Wright, the woman who saved our lives. She clicked a remote. A screen lit with photos, me at 19, exhausted but smiling beside my old food cart. Wait, no, in my story, it was the cafe, but close enough. 7 years ago, Amelia found us three orphaned triplets homeless in the rain. She was barely surviving herself, kicked out by her family, but she took us in, fed us, raised us for 5 years. Images flashed our cramped apartment, homework sessions, birthday cakes I'd baked on a shoestring. She worked double shifts at her cafe to give us clothes, education, hope. We called her Aunt Amelia. She never asked for a thing back. The crowd murmured, some wiping eyes. My mom shifted uncomfortably, whispering to Jennifer. Alexander stepped up. But recently lies spread claiming Amelia manipulated us for money. He displayed screenshots, my mom's posts, Jennifer's comments. These came from her own mother and sister. Gasps rippled. Daniel continued. Exhibit A texts from 7 years ago. Amelia begged for help after being thrown out. Mom, I need a place to stay. Replied with, "You're on your own, disappointment." The screen showed it all. My mom's cold words highlighted. Exhibit B, bank records, no transfers from us to Amelia until last week, when we chose to help her. More slides, emails from my mom to media offering the scam story for $5,000. The room erupted in whispers. My mom stood shouting, "This is fabricated. Amelia's always been jealous, twisting facts to hurt us. Jennifer's the real victim here, she needs support, and Amelia's refusing. Jennifer nodded furiously. She's a liar using these kids against her family. But Ella cut in coldly. You threw her out at 19, told her she was worthless. Now you're exploiting her pain for cash. Alexander revealed the big one. Exhibit C medical records. 2 years ago, Amelia had a health scare, early stage issues needing treatment costing $1,200. She asked for help. Mom, I'm scared. Reply. Deal with it yourself, not my problem. The crowd gasped louder. Daniel added, and finally, a witness, Dr. Elena Vasquez. An older woman stood. Amelia once found a lost wallet with $10,000 inside. She returned it, asking only for enough to fix her cafe's broken fridge. Applause broke out, people standing. My mom tried yelling over it. She's brainwashed you. But no one listened. Jennifer and Mark slipped out the back, faces red. Reporters swarmed as the event ended, but my mom charged the stage. How dare you, Amelia? After I raised you. I faced her, voice calm for the first time. You didn't raise me, Mom. You belittled me. Favored Jennifer kicked me out. These kids. They're my family because they chose love over blood. She recoiled, eyes wide with shock and rage. You'll regret this. We're done. You're no daughter of mine. As security escorted her out, the crowd cheered. For once I felt seen, not small. In the weeks that followed, the consequences hit hard. The event went viral locally. News stories painted my mom as the villain, her posts backfiring spectacularly. Her social circle shrank. Friends unfollowed, invitations dried up. At her job as a receptionist, clients complained about the toxic family drama, and she was let go after a review. Jennifer's accounting firm cited bad publicity and fired her too. Turns out smearing family online doesn't sit well with clients. Mark filed for divorce a month later, taking half their assets and citing the stress. Their dream house went on the market. The nursery fund, forgotten. My mom called once, sobbing, Amelia, you've ruined us. Jennifer's broken, how could you? But I set the boundary. Mom, this is what happens when you hurt people. Don't contact me again. I blocked her number, feeling a weight lift. With the triplets' help, my life transformed. They set up a trust fund, $50,000, to start enough for stability. I quit the cafe, though I still popped in for coffee and pursued my passion, opening a small community center for at-risk youth inspired by our story. Ella invested seed money. Alexander connected me with mentors. Daniel handled the tech setup. I moved to a cozy 2-bedroom in Shorewood with lake views and space for visits. Therapy helped unpack the years of my mom's abuse, the constant put-downs, the favoritism that made me doubt myself. I dated casually, built friendships, even reconnected with Dad briefly. He apologized weekly, but I kept him at arm's length. The triplets became regulars in my life, holidays, together, weekly calls. They weren't blood, but they were family. Looking back, I learned that family isn't about who you're born to, it's about who chooses you, who lifts you up, instead of tearing you down. My mom taught me pain, but the triplets taught me love. Boundaries aren't selfish, they're survival. I won't let her or anyone use or hurt me again. If you've had a mom like mine, share in the comments. How did you break free? What would you do in my shoes?